All right, I'm here to give you my take on kind of the likelihood I see teams making the playoffs slash being Super Bowl contenders. This tier list it says 16-0 and 0-16, although I don't think any team is going to go 16-0 or 0-16. You get the gist that they're the Super Bowl contenders and then the really bad teams. Although I wish there was another tier, maybe for slightly above average or slightly below average, just so I could fit some of these teams that I don't think are on the same level, but I can't put on the very good or awful. But that's just my gripe. This list probably isn't gonna look like any others you've seen, just because I don't care what other people say and recency bias and all that stuff. Half of the teams that make the playoffs one year are not going to make the playoffs next year. Just the way the NFL goes. So if you see rankings with pretty much the exact same teams who made the playoffs last year, it's most likely going to be wrong 90% of the time. All right. So Eagles, probably the best team in the league. People are underrating Carson Wentz. They got Deshaun Jackson. They get Zach Brown. Still have one of the best lines in the league. They actually have a running back now, which I don't put much stock in, but when you're the team like the Eagles and you have basically everything else on your team, they're going to have a healthy secondary this year. And it's relative to last year where they were playing people off the street, basically. I don't see how they're not the favorite to win the Super Bowl, besides Patriots, of course, because, Patriots never die. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about the Eagles. Very good. Niners, Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy G. Love Jimmy G. And then they'll probably have the best D-line in the league. How much stock you put in that? Because the Chiefs had a top 5 D-line last year, but a pretty horrific defense thanks to their secondary. Niners secondary isn't really that good, but they did put some youth in there. They did throw darts at the board. I think in more cases than not, that defense is average, which is all you should need with a offensive mind and a quarterback like Jimmy G and Kyle Shanahan. So this team is most likely to be like the Chiefs if I were to give a take on who would be like the most explosive offense, MVP caliber type of quarterback, and Jimmy G, at least in my opinion. Vikings average, basically because offensive line still question mark, but they did make some steps to improve that. Defense, I don't think that's going to get back to where it was like 2 years ago. They haven't really invested a lot in it. And you'll know why, because their offensive line is just bad, and then they paid Kirk Cousins when they didn't have the system around to support Kirk Cousins. So I don't like them that much as a playoff contender, but depending on how far like the Bears fall off and whether or not the Packers will get back to form, they could sneak into the playoffs like 9-7. I doubt it though. That's really what average is. Like teams that could theoretically sneak in 9-7, maybe even 8-8. I don't know. Very good Rams. I think that Jared Goff is the worst quarterback in that division, even though he's like the 16th best quarterback in the league. I just think that's a very stacked division. So, like, if this were a list of, like, who I think the chances of, like, Super Bowl contending, very good's, like, long shot Super Bowl contenders, but, like, not the worst bets in the world depending on how the market values them. And I just think that the Rams are a step below the teams at the top, like the Eagles, or you'll see later, like the Saints. Average Falcons. I don't like Matt Ryan that much. I think he's a system quarterback. But he's the best system quarterback, and I have to give him credit. He's made use of the weapons and system around him. I just think that they're probably the most paper-thin roster. Like, upside-wise, like, they're as good as the Rams. They're as good as probably the Eagles on, like, a starting level roster. But that's it. They don't have any depth. They don't have any. There's a reason, like, every year they're always falling apart once one or two players get injured, and then just collapses because they don't have any depth on their team. Yeah, and they spent both their all their high picks on offensive linemen because they have a system quarterback, and that's what happens when you have a system quarterback. You have to protect them. Ravens, I'd put them in a slightly above average because I think they're a step below like Falcons and the Vikings, but maybe a step below the Niners or the Rams in my confidence. I think in more cases than not, them most likely having the best secondary in the league. Uh, Pretty good O line to go with that really run heavy scheme. Like they went 6-1 for a reason at the end of last season, basically. And they're in more cases than not, Lamar Jackson improves their offense, which is pretty much comprised of all 1 to 2 first to second year players. At least some of them take steps forward, and this offense gets even better. And whether or not the defense returns to form, I don't really have questions about whether or not it's going to return to form. I think that people kind of overvalue the talent on a front seven, even though the Ravens, if you have been paying attention to them, they really haven't had that much explosiveness or talent on the front seven in years. Since Terrell Suggs was in his prime, which is years ago. And they've still had like consistently a top 10, top 5 defense, so I don't really put much stock in it. I think upside wise, Bears could be and very good, but like if I were betting on it, I'd put them in average just because defense is inconsistent year to year. If you don't have a lot of depth in the secondary, it'll be inconsistent just because coverage players and PFF did say almost like coverage units are very sporadic when they're good and when they're bad. So the best way to have a consistent defense is to just stock up on a bunch of solid to above average to really good coverage players. And the Bears have a lot of high end coverage players, but like they had perfect health last year on the defense, essentially. Do I think that's gonna repeat? Most likely not. I don't like Mitch Trubisky enough to like carry a team, and he won't have to. He has an amazing core around him, especially on the offensive side. But that offensive line is not something to brag about, and Mitch Trubisky under pressure is just really bad. So I don't like. I think that the Bears are a little overrated. I loved the Bears last year as like a sleeper contender, and they proved me right. But this year, I think the market's a little too high on them. All right, Bucks. Oh, controversial pick, putting them in very good. I don't think anyone else is gonna have them here as a playoff contender. Um, Jameis Winston is the type of quarterback, at least I always thought, to have one really good year, and then once he gets overpaid, this team is whatever team overpays him is going to live in mediocrity because he's not an elite quarterback. But I think that this is the year that his coaching, the talent, the offensive talent around him, like the perfect marriage of what he can do and what kind of the talent around him dictates. I think this is his year. Bruce Arians' air raid system, kind of just chucking the ball downfield. That meshes so well with James's arm, and I think that this is the year that Jameis becomes MVP candidate. You know, the Bucks let the league in they were one of the leaders in passing yards last year, just to show how like much talent's on that team. It's just the difference between the Bucks and the Chiefs is that Jameis Winston loves to throw interceptions, but I think in more cases than not, the Bucks defense improves considering how many shots they took in the secondary, and also their first pick was Devin White. I love Devin White, so I think their defense creeps back towards average at least, and then their offense, which was already had the potential of being the best offense in the league. It can take a step closer to that. When Jameis Winston may develop with Bruce Arians, I don't know. But what I do know is Bruce Arians is going to give him a lot to work with. A lot more to work with than he's had. And scheme-wise, at least. And that could lead to success. Which I like Bucks as a sleeper team. Bills, awful. I like Josh Allen. I think he did the most with least out of all the rookie quarterbacks. I don't like them as a contender this year. Next year, yes. This year, I think Josh Allen is the most raw. Him or Lamar Jackson is being the most raw out of all of the rookie quarterbacks. And I like their defensive coaching, but I don't think that they'll have a good enough offensive scheme to kind of use all the talent that Josh Allen possesses. And they don't have a lot of talent on offense anyway. John Brown was a good addition, though. I don't know. I could put them average, considering that their defense has a chance of being top five. They might be a little bit undervalued. This is their defense will be most likely a top five defense, especially with Ed Oliver. How much do I trust Josh Allen? He's just a poor man's Cam Newton. But is that enough? No, no. I don't think that'll be enough. Cardinals, here. Another surprise, probably, for most people. I just love the Cardinals. I think they had the best draft out of any team. Yeah, they finally got a corner to put across from Patrick Peterson. That secondary could be dominant, although the defense is a little bit lacking in the depth department. They got Zach Allen, probably the most pro-ready, one of the most pro-ready defensive linemen. In the draft, they got Andy Isabella and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, who I think is just going to come out the door running. I think he's going to come into the league. He's just going to take that division by storm. Except for, besides, it's like a top five quarterback, Russell Wilson. I think that he's like, which isn't a hot take, I think he's the closest thing we're getting to Russell Wilson in a long time. So, and we all know how Russell Wilson came out the door running. Although the narrative might be he got carried by a team, I really think Russell Wilson was elite his rookie year. And I think Kyler Murray will be elite his rookie year. So I think in more scenarios than not, the Cardinals are way better than they were last year, and they're playoff contenders. Although this division is really stacked, as you can see by my rankings, and about 3 of the teams in the division are already in that very good playoff contending range. So, yeah. Chiefs, not putting them in there. I think that Patrick Mahomes is almost definitely going to regress. You can't put up that type of performance again, year after year. Like, there's no quarterback does that. I think recency bias would tell us that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. I think that's jumping the gun. I think that we've had so many times where quarterbacks like Cam Newton or Matt Ryan have had like MVP caliber seasons, then dipped off literally the year afterwards. And then the fact that the Tyreek Hill situation, probably the most important player on that offense, on that team outside of Patrick Mahomes. So I don't want to put them in average because I think that Andy Reid plus a quarterback like Patrick with the talent of Patrick Mahomes, I can't knock him out of the playoff like being a playoff favorite, but I think that they're overrated right now. Colts, we're putting them there, Super Bowl contender. It's not a hot take. Andrew Luck is their quarterback. Frank Reich is a great coach. All they did this offseason was add more talent, sign their own guys. So I don't see what the argument is for them not being a Super Bowl contender. Andrew Luck is one of the top 3 probably. Yeah, top 3 quarterback in this league. So I don't see the argument with a good team and talent around him. So yeah. Cowboys, nope, not putting them there, putting them there. Dak Prescott. A mobile Andy Dalton. This is a comp I like to. I've heard people calling him Andy Dalton, Derek Carr. A little bit more mobile, maybe a little less consistent accuracy wise. He has probably one of the better surrounding cores in the league. I don't like that division at all. I think the Eagles are going to storm it again. The Redskins are underrated right now, considering that they were leading the division before Alex Smith got hurt. Um, and they've only gotten, I don't want to say only gotten better, because Reuben Foster, that they could let go Zach Brown on the defensive end. But they do have Dwayne Haskins, who just matched the belt with them, and will probably start like halfway through the season. And they got Terry McLaurin, his number one weapon. So I just think that the Cowboys are not that good of a team. They're a great team, but I don't like Dak. And I think there's a universe in which Dak is the third best quarterback in that division, because no one thinks Eli's gonna be good. I don't know what delusional Giants fans. But like I think they could edge. That's what the average is for. I think they could edge into the playoffs, like 8, 8, 9, 7. I would never bet on that, but I think they could. Broncos. This is where it gets relative. I wish there was a tier in between these two, just because I don't like the weapons that Joe Flacco has. Although, actually, no, I like the weapons. No, never mind. Philip Lindsay, Emmanuel Sanders. It's average. It's average, slightly above average weapons. I think Joe Flacco can play to that slightly above average level with those weapons. Defense, there's a chance that I don't like their defense that much. Yeah, no, it's too. It doesn't have enough depth. But Vic Fangio did come over there, so I assume their defense is going to get better just because, based on what he did with the Bears, I do like that. So I'll put the Broncos in average. I'm going to put them in awful. Lions, awful. Matt Stafford is probably the slightly above average quarterback. I don't think that you could win a Super Bowl with him. Maybe he might be on the edge, but there's definitely not enough offensive talent around him to warrant that. Um, their defense, their defensive like motto this offseason has been stopping the run, which doesn't really matter that much anymore. I don't see how they improve a lot. Could happen, but a lot of things have to go right for them to make the playoffs and in the division that they are in. So no, thank you, Green Bay up here. I think that I don't know what like NFL analysts or people are saying about Green Bay, but they're one of the sixth best teams in the league, probably the sixth best. And I think they should be a Super Bowl contender just because the quarterback's Aaron Rodgers, and they actually have I would assume, a decent offensive scheme now that Mike McCarthy's gone. Um, their defense is they actually have a decent defense, which is the most Aaron Rodgers can say in 90% of his career. And I think that depending on where the markets are, it's a sneaky good bet to win Super Bowl. Browns, putting them very good. They are the biggest question mark. I think that people might be overhyping them as like Super Bowl locks. I can't put them on the same tier as the Eagles or the Colts or the Packers because they haven't done it. We haven't seen Freddie Kitchens really lead for an entire season, and then when injuries happen or when they start winning, and a team like the Browns who's not used to winning starts winning, we all know how that culture is really gonna deal with it. There's too many variables that could happen, that could occur, in which the Browns implode, essentially. And I don't like betting on a team with that many question marks. Unless, especially, okay, like the Cardinals and the Bucks have pretty much as many question marks as the Browns do. But I don't like betting on the Browns because everyone's betting on the Browns. But I think that all three of them have the similar likelihood of making the playoffs. Jets, yeah, I think them very good. Although, like, the very good's getting a little crowded. I think this is the last team I'll put in there. Yeah. Yeah. The Jets are sneaky playoff contenders. Their defense, CJ plus Blake Cashman, who they drafted, could be one of the better linebacking duos in the league. D line, a lot of young guys. Quinton Williams, possibly the next, I don't know, Aaron Donald or Fletcher Cox or Geno Atkins, maybe. Um, the depth in their secondary is questionable, but Jamal Adams is not someone who you can question as being one of the best safeties in the league. Sam Darnold was probably top 10 quarterback in the last couple of weeks. He played like it during the last couple of weeks, and he definitely showed improvement, and I'm betting that he will play in the upper, maybe top 12 quarterbacks, I'd say. By the end of this year, I think Sam Darnold's going to be in contention for, I don't want to say MVP. I don't think the offense is going to be that dynamic, but I really love Sam Darnold this year. I think that he's going to show the most improvement out of all the rookie quarterbacks, even Baker or Lamar or Allen. I think that he's going to be, I think he's going to play better than Baker, to be honest this year. And going with that, I think the Jets are going to be playoff contenders, considering that they get to beat up on the Dolphins and the Bills. Jags, awful. I don't like Nick Foles. I think that he's the edge of what a starting caliber quarterback is in this league. I think that in a whole season, you're getting a poor man's Joe Flacco. Although, like, his recent success has been clouding, in my opinion, clouding people's judgment on like whether or not he is a quarterback that you want to pay $20 million. Now, like the Jags did, which I know their quarterback kind of past has been a little bit fudgy. Like I don't like their front office decision makings, and I think this trend continues. I don't like Nick Foles. Their defense, meh. Not meh. It's gonna be good, but I don't think it's gonna be that elite level we saw a few years ago. In more cases than not, it isn't. The weapons they have for Nick Foles, they're cool. They're solid. Solid online. Solid weapons. It's not the level that he had in Philly. In Philly, I think that the team around him is so good that most quarterbacks could have done what he did. Although his Super Bowl winning performance was amazing, I don't think that he does that for a whole season. I don't think he's a top 16 quarterback. I don't think he's a top 20 quarterback. I think that he's the quarterback that is the bridge, and you want to get rid of him. There's a reason that they stuck with Carson Wentz. Redskins. I like them above the Jags. That's why I'm putting them in average. I think that the defense is sneakily good. Kind of big defense wants to impose like their will. Really solid, good O line. I can't say solid, but paper thin, but good O line. Dwayne Haskins, solid quarterback. I think in most more times than not, he's just gonna be average, which is fine. He's basically gonna, in my opinion, he's gonna be like Kirk Cousins, unless like he develops some elite accuracy or even some pocket presence. Maybe some being able to add something outside of what his offense creates for him. I don't think that, especially this year, he could develop in it. He could develop some of those characteristics of like an elite quarterback that can like defy a system. But like I don't think that in like the first 2 years he's gonna be anything to write home about. But I don't think he has to be. We saw Alex Smith go 6-3 with this team. Like I think that he can run a system, and the Redskins system isn't bad, and there's a chance they 8-8, 9-7, and they win, and they make a playoff run, 6 seeds, something like that. Panthers. Oh, I don't like the Panthers. I don't like but I can't argue with the fact that they were like 6-0. I don't like them. I don't like Cam. I think he's been overrated since his MVP season. Um, I don't want to put them there. I really want to put them in bad. Their secondary is so bad, but not. Probably the best coverage linebacker in the league. They did get some bash rush. I don't even know if Cam is healthy. Yeah, I'm putting them down there. I can't put them on the same level as like the Redskins, the Broncos, or even the Cowboys. Just because, God, they did go 6-0 though. This is probably the hardest. Like I want a tier in between these two. I just don't like them. I don't like him. I don't like that. I don't know if he's gonna be injured. Okay, if Cam's injured, then I'm putting them in awful. If Cam's healthy, I'm putting them in average. AFC South with the Bucks actually getting decent. The Saints, the Falcons maybe not being injured. Tough division. Yeah, I'm putting them in awful. That might be a bad take. By the next year, they could be 8-8, 9-7. I could look like a fool, but I don't like them. I wouldn't bet on them. I'd say stay away. Bengals average. Bengals are probably underrated. Whatever their over under total is on Vegas, I'd probably bet the over. They were leading the AFC North. Pretty tough division before injury struck. Andy Dalton was actually playing probably a career year for him until he got injured. They actually got a tackle in Jonah Williams, which is something the Bengals haven't had in a while. So I think that offense could get even more consistent. Tyler Eifert's coming back. If they're healthy, then they could be a sneaky playoff contender, which is what average is. If perfect health, then all these teams they could be playoff contenders. I think the very good is like even without perfect health, I think that they'll still be contenders, but that's just me. Steelers average. I think that they lost too much with AB. Juju's good. He's probably a top 10 receiver, but I don't like their team. I think there's a more than average, more than 50% chance that Big Ben regresses even more than he has. And then with their defense being spotty as usual, I don't think that a Big Ben can really carry a team like he used to. Their offensive line could regress, considering their O-line coach left, and then they lost one of their tackles. There's a pretty high possibility that regresses. And then along with the fact that they lost AB and I guess Lev Bell, what he offered in the passing game, I don't like them. I don't like them, especially with that division being really tough. Texans. I'm putting, wasn't their record like 9-7, 10-6, something like that? Yeah, no, I think them an awful. I was gonna put them in average, and then I realized how easy their schedule was last year, and the fact that their O-line issues may have been addressed. I don't know. Depends on who you ask. The guys I think they got might be a little bit too developmental. Be able to start right away. I don't think they literally needed 5 O-linemen. They got like 2 or 3. I don't like this team. Deshaun probably takes a step forward with Will Fuller healthy. That offense could be dynamic. It could be. There's a chance that offense is dynamic. There's a chance defense secondary got weaker. So I don't think the defense is going to be all that good. But there's a chance that offense takes a step forward. There's also a chance that it doesn't, and the offensive line so hinders them so. And then with this tougher schedule that they have, I don't like them. I think they're a little overrated. Raiders. I really want to put them in the bottom category. I don't like Derek Carr. I don't like AB. I mean, I like AB. I love AB, but like, I don't think that his production will be anywhere near the same with Derek Carr as quarterback. Worse a line too than what he had in Pittsburgh. God, I don't like this. I don't like him. I don't like the Raiders. I think they're gonna have a top 10 pick next year. I'll put them there. The Dolphins, they don't have anything. Well, they do have like a one corner, but other than that, no. Patriots. This is self-explanatory. They're the Patriots. I don't know how they are Super Bowl contenders. Chargers, probably the most talented team in the league. I think they got another superstar this year. Hunter Henry is getting healthy again. Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler, that offensive line's never been good, but they did get. I think they got someone in like the later rounds, but that's not too noticeable. I just think that the most talented team in the league. I don't know if it's that close. Giants, trash. Anyone who thinks Eli's still good is actually just lying to themselves. Although they did get some depth in the secondary, it's probably their best move this offseason was getting depth in the secondary in the draft with DeAndre Baker. There's a reason we don't pick running backs top 3 overall when you have Eli Manning as your quarterback, because at the most they can give you is 2 wins, which is what Saquon Barkley did last year. And unless Saquon can actually learn to throw the ball, I guess, and play quarterback, then I don't see a scenario in which the Giants are good next year. Daniel Jones is nowhere near starter ready, even if you think that he could develop into a good quarterback. He's nowhere near that right now, so I don't like him either. Yeah, the Giants are just trash. Saints, also self-explanatory. One of the most talented teams in the league. Drew Brees at quarterback. The common denominator with all these teams is either they have a good system plus a good quarterback. I mean, an elite quarterback, which I love Carson Wentz, so I think that counts. Colts, Andrew Luck has talent. Yeah. Seahawks, this is a step below. Seahawks, I would put them in like the tier between these two. Their defense is not going to be good. By good, I mean above average. There's a chance it's average. There's also a higher chance it's below average, but I trust Doug Peterson to keep it at average. I love Russ, though, but I think that this division is just way too stacked. I think that next year we're going to get the narrative of, wow, they paid him so, that's why they lost. But I don't think that's why. I just think that this division is too stacked, and oh, God, they should have paid Earl Thomas. No, yeah, they should have paid Earl Thomas. Titans. What's their division looking like? Texans, Colts. Yeah, here I'm putting them in average. I don't like them that much. But like usual, they'll go like 8, 7, 9, 9, 7. That range. So they could sneak into the playoffs. They'll be first round outs. That's also a common denominator with all the teams. I think they'll all be first round outs if they do make it to the playoffs. Yeah. These teams, like the very good, I think divisional round, if they get hot at the right time, maybe Super Bowl. With all these teams, I could see it happening. These teams, they're your Super Bowl locks. If anyone has them, any betting books has them at a good rate, then you always bet on these teams. But I doubt any will because they're all smart. These teams, though, the very goods are where your value at. So like Cardinals, Tampa Bucks, and Jets, I think, are the sleepers of this year. Most people think that the Niners are going to be good considering they get the quarterback back, but like these three specifically, I think are sleepers. That's it. So these are my teams. Yeah, solid. You can just comment if you have any disagreements, because I think this is exactly how it's going to play out. Well, not exactly, because injuries play a factor. There's also streaks, things like that. Luck. This is only 16 games, but roughly around where things are going to go, barring injuries. I like this.